So Ted Leo and the Pharmacists are a indie rock band from the USA. I say are, I'll discuss whether they are or were in a second. They were formed in 1999. Ted Leo is obviously the front guy for this band, and he's been in various bands since 1989. As a band, they've had 6 albums, but they haven't had any releases since 2010. So Wikipedia lists them as still being active. I don't know how true that is. I feel like Ted Leo has moved on, given that he has formed a partnership with Amy Mann, calling themselves the Both since 2013. But Wikipedia might know things that I don't. Hi, my name's Dan. So this was the second album, the second full-length album by Ted Leo and the Pharmacists, but it's actually the first where there's a band involved, because the first album that he did under this name was just him. And I expected it to be more like a lot of other indie rock than I found it to be. I found it quite interesting. To be honest, I sometimes get a bit bored with indie that all sounds the same, which is, it's got this kind of curtain of electric guitar that kind of fills in the background. For this, it's a big sound, and it sounds less indie and more rock at times, although that still doesn't give a good impression because it's quite varied. There's some really good guitar work. The rhythm guitar work is not just thrash, thrash, thrash. It's got stops in it and proper rhythms and stuff. The solos, there's some guitar solo work in here. A tendency to kind of echo Celtic folk tunes at times. It's got the feel of, all sorts of things, but definitely coming to mind is Whiskey in the Jar by Thin Lizzy, and the electric guitar in that. It's that kind of sound. The drums are big. It's kind of garagey drum sound. So it reminds me a bit of the White Stripes in terms of the sounds used for the drums, and played well. And there's just lots of different textures. There's one quieter number, and the shades of several styles in there of all sorts of kind of backgrounds kind of brought in. You know, there's a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and it just keeps it varied. His singing's good. There's a lot of falsetto. There's quite a bit of intensity to his voice. Kind of starting to think of him as a bit of a cross between Tom York from Radiohead and Fergal Sharkey from The Undertones, but that might not mean anything to you. The lyrics can't really follow the meaning easily for most of them. Sometimes it's hard to actually hear what he's singing. And when you can, they're often quite poetical. There are a few tracks that are almost as if they were a poem that he'd taken from somewhere that's been set to music. So, like I said, I'm often quite ambivalent towards indie, but I really like this album. I felt there was a lot to dig into. I particularly like the fact that, having listened twice, the second time through, I recognised songs and remembered them from the first time. And actually, the first time I was listening, I didn't pay that much attention. So that's a sign of of good songwriting that makes these things recognisable. So I liked it. I'd love to know what you thought. So please let me know in the comments below. That's it from me for now.
Me and Johnny sitting in the green grass. I don't remember too much from that far back in the past, but man, oh man, was Jonathan laugh in those days.